AM Power. So excited and grateful to be here with you. I hope everybody is having an amazing week so far. It is Thursday. Happy Thursday. And today I am excited to chat with you about holding your power under pressure because the world is really loud right now, financially, emotionally, spiritually, energetically. There's a lot happening around us. And the most important thing is that we recognize where our power really truly lies because it's easy to spiral or shut down when things become uncertain. And, one of the things that I've learned over the years, which this is really interesting, and I'm gonna transfer this to you. And if you're in a place that you're ready to receive it, then wonderful. And if you're not yet, then that's okay. But what I realized was the the mind is always trying to create certainty because the mind's job is to keep you safe. So it's always going to search for certainty so it can say, we are safe, everything is okay. And what's interesting about that is that that is a that is a task that can never be fulfilled because the reality is in life, nothing is ever fully certain, ever, ever. Like, yeah, even me living in my safe home right now, something could happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter what type of parameters and conditions we set up, nothing is certain. And so I came to this realization recently, really like in the last year, maybe 2 years, that I was like, you know what? The only safety and certainty that I have is that there's nothing that is certain. And that actually felt safer than continuing to try to set up life and rearrange life and configure things in a way that was like, oh, okay, finally we're certain and then I'm safe and then something would happen. I was like, oh, okay, that didn't go as planned. And it was just this never ending cycle. And so that's one thing that if I can transfer that to you to learn to create safety in the uncertainty, and that way the mind can't take over. And it's more of a trust and a faith that within the soul experience, that no matter how things go, no matter what unfolds, no matter what comes my way, that I can handle it and I will handle it. And it's okay that I don't know what things are going to look like because that's the mind wanting to know, but you're not your mind, right? And you guys, any conversation that you guys have with me or hear from me, you guys know that I will tell you and remind you that you are not your mind. You have a mind, and its job is to keep you in your comfort zone and to try to keep you safe. But again, remembering that safety is really truly in the change and in the uncertainty of how life will unfold, then you can kind of just breathe because you're like, all right, well, I'm just going to flow and I'm going to surrender and I'm going to at the same time be putting in effort to take steps in a direction. But here's how I look at it. Because there's always a balance. It's always, this is like the interesting paradox in about life, is it's the balance. It's never the extreme. So like while you're like, you know what, I think this might be my path. Let me put all of my effort into this path and give it 100%. You might find out that wasn't the path. And so instead of being like, oh, and wallowing in and clinging to this was has to be it. It was like, oh, okay, that's the path that I thought that it was, but it's actually a left. I need to go left. Okay, great. Thanks for the sign. It's like you're on a hike and you're like, I think it's this way, and then you get to a space that's like, oh, you need to turn around and go back. You've come the wrong way. And you're like, oh, okay, thanks for letting me know. All right, let me go this way then. And that's it. And that's how you have to look at it. So doesn't mean that you don't charge forward in the path that you think is the right one, but sometimes we're told, nope, that's not the right one, and we can pivot, and that's our ability to respond. And that's your greatest asset in business, in your relationships, in life completely, is your ability to respond. That's where responsibility comes from. And so the what really made me think about this training was just what's happening in our world right now because it's so uncertain. And, there's a lot of devastation happening right now on our planet, and it's easy to get stuck into fear mode. It's easy to be worried. It's easy to start to panic and be like, oh, well, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. To be honest, I don't really partake in any type of news at all, to the point where I really don't know what's happening. And that's just because it's not that I don't care, it's just that I don't trust who's delivering the information. So, whatever information is out there, I don't really know that the source is credible or that it's not biased or that it's even accurate. So, I just don't really partake because I'm like, anything that's coming in, any information that's coming in is being filtered somewhere. So that's why I don't do that. But so I choose to put my energy where I believe that I can make the greatest difference. And so because I just focus on my part, and so I what really triggered this thought of having this conversation with you of like was the recent events on our planet and stopping and being like, you know what? What's my ability to respond to what's happening right now? And how can I create safety through uncertainty? And how can I take action in my life and in my business when things could feel scary or could feel there could be fear arising or when things just don't feel as good? And so and that's the thing is you're not supposed to not have feelings. You're not supposed to not have the human experience of, oh, okay, this could be, I mean, there's a level of fear that arises for sure, thinking that, potentially I've seen a little bit, even though I don't try to dive into this stuff, it pops up on social media that we could potentially go into World War III. Like, yeah, that's scary, but at the same time, it's like, you know what? Whatever's going to happen, we will respond and we will make the best of it. And I trust in my ability to respond for myself, my family, and my business. And so then you got to really decide what you want to focus on because real leaders, and that's what this world really needs right now, is they need real, present, conscious, self-aware leaders. Real leaders respond with intention, even when things are not going great. Even when if we're potentially entering a world war, even if our business, even if there's moments that are challenging even in business. They're over the last we've been in this business since last March. So, it's been like a year and 3 months, almost 4 months. And even in business, when things weren't going perfectly and there was challenging days, like when our shipping was a complete disaster because we didn't have our own shipping warehouse for the first, 6, 7 months of launching the United States. Now we have our own shipping warehouse, but at the time we didn't. So, packages were taking 3, 4, 5 weeks at a time, and it felt that was heavy when people were calling me and texting me and being like, where's my packages? I'm upset. I'm not happy. Da 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 da. And you know, staying grounded within that and leading with the ability to respond and not react and not shut down and continuing with the vision. And so that's what's going to lead you through challenging times is your vision. You have to have a vision and you have to be so connected and rooted and determined, resilient to follow through with that vision because you feel so strongly about it. And that's really where it was at, with the shipping. It didn't, to me, even though there was moments where it was intense because I was getting a lot of messages, I also was so rooted in the vision that to me, it didn't matter if a package took, you know, 12 weeks to get to somebody. I felt that it was still worth it for somebody to get these products because they had to have them in their body. So if I was like, trust me, you need these in your body, even if it took 2 months. Like it doesn't matter. There's no amount of time that I would recommend to be like, never mind, I don't need that anymore. No, you do need these products. They're that incredible. So I stayed rooted in our mission and our testimonials and for the people that did have our products and how life-changing it was for them. And so I stayed rooted with my vision. So you have to stay rooted in your vision. So this isn't, this is about building the muscle of having a grounded, aligned response. And I love the word grounded because that's your ability to literally root down and be a palm tree. I love palm trees because one, they're beautiful, and two, they go through the most intense storms and they stay. You know what I'm saying? Like they're the ones that are in the tropical islands. So when the hurricanes come and there's 150-mile-per-hour winds, those babies are stuck. Like they are in the ground. They're so grounded that nothing, they might move a little bit, but they're not getting yanked out of the ground. And so they're impressive. Be like a palm tree, okay? Which is fun because palm trees are pretty. So how do you do that? How do you stay grounded and respond with intention? Well, I like to start with the nervous system. And, you guys, I had an epiphany the other day that I have, I've been doing these specific practices in the morning. David and I got really connected with a specific teacher almost 3 years ago who taught us specific yoga and meditation practices to support our spiritual evolution and growth. And so I've seen a dramatic difference in the humans that we've become since doing that. And I'm so grateful. It's what keeps me showing up every single day for an hour and 20 minutes, even when it's really inconvenient, when we're traveling a lot and we're moving around. I'm like, I have to do this, not because I have to, but because I genuinely am a different human being when I do this. And it's all connected to the nervous system. And so I really had that epiphany that that's what it was the other day. I'm like, wait a minute. Like this is like, and I know that I do nervous system work, but like I just didn't connect like how deeply important the nervous system is in every single thing that you do in your life. Everything from the way you converse with yourself, the way that you converse with your relationships, how you show up in your business especially. Because I used to say this. That's what's interesting is I used to like I just now connecting everything. I used to tell people nothing knocks you out of business except your emotions. Nothing. Nothing will take you out of business except your own feelings because your feelings all of a sudden, you start hearing thoughts that I'm not cut out for this. This is a waste of my time. I'm never going to get to where I'm going to go. People, are never going to see what I see, whatever, insert limiting belief, right? And when you have those limiting beliefs, they create feelings. And so if you're not able to really be grounded and discerning of like, oh, that's interesting that my mind is saying these things and not identify with it, because again, you guys, just because you think a thought doesn't mean that it's true. I have thoughts all the time that they're not me. And I hear them and I'm like, oh, I don't align with that. I don't agree with that. That's just a regurgitation of information and data that has come in through my five senses over the course of me living on this planet that could have come in from another human, from a TV show, from something I witnessed, from a movie. Like, who knows where that data came in from? But just because it came in through my five senses and got inserted into my brain, my computer somewhere, doesn't mean that it's mine. Just because it's there doesn't mean it's what I consciously, truly believe and feel. And so you have to know who you are in outside with like here's you and then there's all the noise and there's everything else. And you have to be so grounded and rooted in who you are and what you believe and what you stand for. So all the noise, you know what's noise and you know what's you. And so, creating that center and I'm going to eventually do a master class on this, creating a center that you have forged that is your safe place. So when life becomes loud, life becomes intense, life starts to feel scary, all the things are coming at you, that you can go to your space and you go there and you can start responding from there. And you have the ability to respond from there because you're anchored in, you're grounded in, okay? So when it comes to your nervous system, that's part of your space. That's part of that center, okay? Because we get activated, all right? I'm not going to tell you that I don't ever get activated and that I never react. Like there are moments, especially with my children, that I'm like, I'm like, That is, and you know what's cool about it though is that is our that's our ability to build the muscle. That's the gym, right? Which is cool because you don't get to practice and become greater at things when everything is smooth and perfect. So there's this paradox feeling of sometimes I'm so frustrated with my children, and then I'm so grateful at the same time that they're annoying me because I'm like, well, this is my ability to practice and to stay grounded and to stay rooted when I want to be like, everyone go to your room, stop fighting. You know, I'm busy and you guys are fighting. So that is my ability to practice. So we have to look at it like that. And that's another way be to be able to walk through life with humor, which is fun because if you can laugh at something and you can find humor in something, that's really great. That helps the nervous system a lot as well. But power comes from regulation, not urgency, not reactiveness, okay? It comes from regulating. And I always tell people, and you are in control of your own state. Like you, nothing, no one, you can't. That's one thing that I just want to like stop, like right here. This is something that changed my life. Is I will no longer blame my state on my external circumstances. Like that has to happen. That ability to take responsibility for your state has to happen in order for you to create a really strong center. And that's the reality. And of course, it's easy to say, oh, well, this is happening, so that's why I feel this way, and that happened, and that's why I feel this way. But that is just giving away your power. Like it doesn't matter. I mean, I did this. This is why I feel so strongly about this is that, you know, if I told you that I was sexually abused at 5 years old, and that's why at 15 years old I was running from my past and I was emotionally numbing and, you know, drinking and trying to be like, oh, you know, you poor thing. Like, yeah, I can see how that happened. But the reality is that's not putting me in my power. That's not, it doesn't matter what happened or is happening, you have to claim your own power. And that has to be my state is my responsibility, period. Forever, forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Okay. Because that's where your power comes from. That's where you don't get sucked into victimhood, which I've done that. You step into your power and you're like, how do I need to respond to move forward for what's best for me, my life, my family, my vision. Okay. So sometimes you just need to pause, okay? Actually, a lot of the time, we just need to pause and we just need to breathe. And you need to be able to get good at recognizing the space between when life is happening and you're like, oh, you want to go react. And instead of going and reacting, you're like, I'm going to take a moment to pause. And when you get really good at this, you'll start to see, oh, I see how I would have normally reacted, but I've now taken a moment in the space in between and I'm actually going to respond. And it becomes really interesting because that's when you start seeing your growth. You're like, oh, I would have normally reacted. You know, this, if you tend to be feisty on the road, okay, my mom's super feisty on the road. She's like, mother effers, you know, like me, like that's my mom on the road. Okay. And so I've had to teach her over the years, and I'm like, Mom, okay, your state should not be in the hands of these other drivers, okay? You should not let these other people have that much control over your state. Like you're handing over your power to some person on the road that you don't even know. Like, okay, let's breathe and pause. And so she's gotten a lot better at this where she's so proud. She'll like call me and be like, Brooke, you should see how I was today. Like I was so calm on the road. And I was like, great. I'm so proud of you. But that's a great place to start. Like simple, low-hanging fruit moments like that you can practice on, okay? Regulation creates clarity, and clarity creates results. And I know for a fact, because I know you guys, that you're here to create results. You're not here to just be here. Like you guys are all visionaries. You guys are determined. You guys have goals. You guys have greater standards for yourself. You're showing up on this call. That already tells me that you have the desire to become a greater version of yourself. And that means you want to create results. So regulation will create that clarity. Okay. And the clarity is what's going to take you to your results. And this is why I wake up every morning and I do yoga and I do meditation and I focus on my nervous system. What do I need to do to ground myself deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and digging those roots into the ground so that when life tries to come at me today, because life's been crazy the last few days, you guys, like I am working I am trying to figure out the balance. I'm not used to having my kids for this long at a time. Like we usually have our kids because we have split homes. So I usually have my kids Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And right now I have them all through the week. And Friday, Saturday, Sunday is great because that's when I'm less busy with work. But having them through the week when that's my work hours, and David and I literally work from 10 in the morning till 10 at night during the week, which is great for us because the kids aren't home. So we're able to do that. We're able to do back to back to back meetings and do our thing. Well, I'm torn because I can't, like, within me, I feel I have to be present with my kids. So I'm torn and I'm struggling because I'm like, I feel the need to be present with them, but then I'm not able to like work the same. And that's killing me because I genuinely love working. Like I absolutely love what I do. So I'm like, I love being with my kids and I want to be a present mom and I want to be there for them and do this. And then I'm like, but my business. And so I'm like really torn right now and I'm playing this juggling act and I'm trying to make it work, and which is great and I'm grateful for it because it is it is demanding a greater version of me of okay, who is the person that has to become who do I have to become to be able to handle and hold both? Like what do I have to change within and how do I have to restructure in order for me to be able to do both? And so that is a cool time for me to challenge myself, but I wake up and I'm grounding myself so that I can handle what is happening. And so I don't go into a state of reaction. And I'm anchoring into a bigger picture. Like, okay, when I'm spending time with my kids and I'm being present with them, they experience that and they remember that. When I'm spending time with my business and I'm focused on that, that's creating a bigger picture for, that ripples into the effects of the whole family. So I have a whole picture. And if you guys can get really clear on your vision, if you guys haven't done this already, writing down in a journal, having a safe place that you can write where you have a year vision, you have a 3 year vision, you have even just a year or 3 years. Like that's a good, 5 and 10 is great, but like even just a year to 3 years, like kind of understanding like what is your vision for that and what's the most details that you can write down. And it could be in like paragraph form where you're explaining a story where you're like, I envision waking up and slipping on my silk slippers and walking to the restroom, and I see my affirmations all over the mirror and I read them to myself every morning with love and gratitude and joy, and I open up my window to my farm and I see my beautiful land and crops, and I walk downstairs to my beautiful children enjoying their nourishing breakfast that the nanny helped make, or whatever your vision looks like. You can write it like that or just put bullet points, but have a detailed vision of your future that you can always refer back to, because the greatest things that I've created or achieved, David and I mean in myself even before David, but I I I envisioned them. Like I saw them and I felt them before they ever even happened. So having something that you're connected to when things get challenging, and even when life events are happening, when all these uncertain things are happening in our government and politics and all of this, that you're anchoring into your vision. You're saying, what can I do to stay on track even while all of this is happening? What actions can I do today to make sure that I stay focused and in my space, okay? Because you don't want to give your power to distractions, fear, or other people's opinions, which is really easy to do, especially in this business, because our business is based on talking to humans, and humans just tend to be very opinionated. And if you ever feel like your like your set of friends or network is opinionated or not very supportive, just go on social media and just go look at some of the comments and some of these posts. Like people are vicious. I am like, when I see some of these comments that people post on other people's social media, I'm like, who raised you? Who raised you? You kids. Like, I just can't believe that people say they're so harsh, they're so mean, they're so intense. And so you guys were just dealing with the human nature. And when you really boil it down, when you really get down to the base of it, people that show up like that, they're just hurt. That's it. Because hurt people hurt other people and they're not conscious, they're not aware, they're hurt, they haven't done the healing, they haven't done the work. And so when people are not kind to you or they are very reactive, it just means that they're not regulated, right? What do we know about reaction? It's coming from dysregulation. So what does dysregulation come from? Somebody never taught them to regulate. Somebody never gave them a regulated environment. And so which, that happens. I wasn't given a regulated environment, which is why I drank because that was the only way I knew how to regulate. And I used to say that. I used to say when I drink, it's the only time I feel normal, that I think I feel like everyone else feels on the normal. I only feel that way when I drink, that was my only way to regulate myself. And so now it makes so much sense. I'm like, oh, that was my form of regulation. And so now obviously I have a different form of regulation that's much healthier, but now it makes sense. So it's all coming back to and connecting to your ability to regulate. So I want you to ask yourself, what's worth responding to? What's really worth responding to? And then what can you release? Because when you really stop and take a look at all the things sometimes that you're holding and that are in your space, a lot of the times you need to release some things. A lot of the times we're in something or attached to something that or something's attached itself to us that we don't need to be part of, that we can release. But you got to stop for a moment and take a look at it and be really discerning because the world is loud, but your vision has to be louder. And so getting very clear on what's important for you to be involved in and for you to be part of, and just lovingly releasing anything that is not. Okay? So it's important because you got to make power moves, guys. You don't want to make panic moves. You want to make power moves, okay? We're here because we're powerful humans, okay? We're here, we're powerful creatures. It's interesting because we're balancing the human experience and the soul experience. I do believe that there is something much deeper inside of us, but than just the human experience. I don't believe that our greatness lies in just being a human. I do believe that there is a kingdom within, and I believe that that kingdom is our power, and it's far, far, far beyond the human experience. And so if you can acknowledge always, this is something that I teach, that I feel so strongly about, that if you can always for a moment take a step back and imagine that you are anybody ever seen the movie Ghost? Anybody ever seen Ghost? You know how like the spirit like comes out? Like imagine pulling back away from the body and you're getting like a view from here, and you just stop for a minute and you look at the human side of things and you look at the soul side of things. And this is where you can see with clarity the difference of why they both have to exist. That yes, you're having a human experience. So fear and pain and resentment and frustration and anger is normal. Like that's part of the human experience because now you're dealing with the mind, and that's all native to the mind. But when you also look at the soul experience, you think, when I look back at why I experienced what I experienced as a child, and going through the hard moments that I did as a child, when I only looked at it from the human side, I was so angry and so mad. I was so mad. I don't even, angry is not even the right word. Like I was infuriated with God, with my parents, with everyone, that's why I made the decisions that I made that led me to, drinking and doing drugs at such a young age. But now that I look at it from the soul experience, from the human side, I still hug that little girl and I still love her and I show her immense compassion. But from a soul experience, I'm so grateful that I went through everything that I did because it molded the resilience within me, and it created a story within me that I anchor to for strength. That's actually one of my greatest strength points in my entire life, is what I went through, and all of it, the drinking, the all of it. That's actually my where I draw power from, because I was able to. And think about your own life when I'm talking about this. What's something that you experienced that was so hard and so challenging and so painful, and you never would wish it on anyone else? You would never want your kids to go through it or anyone that you love, but because you did and you rose above it, you gained so much strength and were able to create a story that within you now it helps to make you a greater person. Like now I speak on these things and I'm passionate about speaking on these things, and I hope that it helps other people. And it all comes from the fact that I went through that. If I had just gone through a, perfect childhood and everything was awesome and smooth and we never had any struggles, I probably wouldn't be on the Zoom and be so passionate about what I talk about if none of that ever happened. So it's made me a greater person. So that's the difference in having the perspective of the human experience and the soul experience. And you have to get good at looking. And actually, it's the human experience and the soul journey, because it is a journey. Okay. So you need to be able to look at both. And so your power and your strength is going to come from regulation, regulating yourself, doing those deep breaths, doing meditation, doing yoga, sometimes you just need to dance. Like you literally just need to put on music and just like, there's no set rhythm. You just need to move emotion through the body, because emotion does get stuck within the body. So you can move it and you can get it pushed out and get it circulating so that it loosens up. Okay. That's your step one. Then your step two is, how do I look at what's happening in life, in my life, whatever is in front of me right now? How do I look at it from both perspectives? And that's where you create your balance. That's where your center is going to come from. Because remember, it's never on the extreme. Okay. It's not, oh, that woe is me. Oh my gosh. Like it's not that. And it's definitely not, that's just the soul journey. And it's great for your future. Don't worry, all that pain you're going through. It's not that either, because there has to be some compassion, but there also has to be some vision. Okay. So I want you guys to be able to operate from this place. And when it comes to your business, again, all of the external things that are happening in life are going to affect your business. Okay. So, and I don't want you guys to think that you have to be perfect. You have to just be leaders, and leaders have the vision, they have the clarity, they have the ability to self-regulate, they have the ability to discern what is meant for them and what needs to be in their space at that time. They have the ability to have dual vision, where they're able to look at the human side, at the soul side, and be able to do both. And these are when I'm in a moment and things are happening, I'm tapping into all of this. I'm literally, David and I were having a conversation about this the other day, about regulation, about self-regulation. And I'm like, I feel strongly about teaching people. I've been wanting to create a master class about your center and creating your center and getting you into your place of power, right? It's all about your power, and not power from the aspect of like, when we think of like the power sometimes that people have that they use against us or they use in malicious ways. No, your power to take the greatness that's inside of you and go to touch people with it, because you can't go and touch people with your greatness if you're not in your power. If you're playing small, or you're stuck in fear, or your nervous system is so immobilized that you're not able to take action at all and you're in the freeze state, there's no power in that. So my goal is to reconnect you remind you that it's your job to reconnect to your power. It's your job to connect to your center. And that's where you're doing that, because life will not always feel stable, but you can be. Okay, the palm tree, and I love visuals. I'm a visual person. So the palm tree is not always stable, but does it get ripped out of the ground? No. Does it sway and it's like, the leaves are like this? Yes, but it doesn't get ripped out of the ground. And your ability to respond is your greatest leadership tool. And over time, the nervous system is fun because it's expansive. So it's interesting, because while you're having this whole experience here, you can sometimes be holding a lot of feelings at the same time. It doesn't have to just be one or the other. Like if I focus on the devastation and the tragedy and the trafficking and the hunger and the poverty and all of that, I can be really sad. And if I focus on butterflies and the ocean and babies being born and, couples wedding and, the most beautiful, the sunshine, if I focus on these things, then I can be super joyous. And so while you're here, you're actually meant to hold a lot of feelings and experiences at the same time. And your ability to do that, your capacity to hold it all is also where your power is. So you have to just constantly remind yourself what you say to yourself, what you say out loud, like those are powerful. Those are spells. Like that's programming. Okay. So when you say, I can handle it, my ability to respond is my superpower. I can handle it. I repeat that all the time. When things are happening, life's been crazy the last few days. I'm like, I can handle this. And I'm going to be a greater version of me because I choose to handle this. Okay. So again, the world might be shaky, things might be shaky, but you don't have to be. And it's all about how you choose to show up on this planet right here, right now, in the midst of all of it, in the midst of what's going on in your marriage, in the midst of what's going on in the world economics, in the midst of what's going on with your family, in the midst of what's going on in your personal health. Ground yourself first before you decide to react to life. Ground, root yourself, and then go choose to respond. Your ability to respond is your responsibility. Your state is your responsibility, and you can handle it. The reason I know you can handle it is because you're still on this planet. We always handle it, right? But the mind sometimes is like, what are we going to do? What's going to happen? And it gets really loud, and you just need to pull yourself into the now. Okay? Not worried about, well, in the past this is what happened and what's going to happen. Like, ground yourself in the now first and then respond from there. All right, guys, I hope that this was helpful in you taking your power back and reconnecting to the amazing, absolutely incredible human and spirit and soul that you are. And I love you guys, and I appreciate you always. And I hope that everybody just has a phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal weekend is coming up.